the innovation what we are talking about, not only about this CCU project, but in general, but is innovation that has never done before. So it's this type of new technologies that have to be developed. There is a risk associated to this type of project. It is not for sure that this will function in a way that we have in mind, and also not at a cost that we have at this moment in mind. So there is a high risk component in it. The second element in it is that the return on the investment of this type of project is a very low value, or perhaps negative at this moment, and at the same time we need a lot of time to do this. So from an industrial and commercial perspective, you have to think about such a project when you have to fund it yourself. Otherwise we would have done already long time ago. That's not the case. The reason is that the funding, the money to do this type of projects is really missing. And for that the Innovation Fund could help us, and we hope that it will help us. And it is an essential part of the decarbonation strategy that we need for Europe, because that has to be done by everyone, so including the industry, including the people in society, including the NGOs, including the governments. Now, in that partnership, the funding is absolutely needed.
When considering the question how important it is to be eligible to fund the demonstration phase, is to overcome, in fact, the profitability gap. And what is the profitability gap? That is the financial gap which is needed, governmental support in fact, to make the project at least not loss-giving. And then you can speak about a lower return on investment than in a commercial case, but you need to satisfy in fact slightly positive business case, isn't it, for the shareholders, for the company, because if all the projects which are part of the energy transition and to realize a low carbon economy are important enough, then there is a learning curve in the beginning, and the learning curve is in the beginning very high, and the companies who realize the innovative demonstration projects, they are very courage in fact, and need a bit support to be supported to pay the learning curve. They cannot do that by themselves, because then they run the risk that the velocity of the energy transition and all the velocity, the pace in fact in which the demonstration projects can be realized is slowed down. And that's not what we want.
I think the funding is really important to materialize these projects. Because looking at the CO2 content in flue gas, that's a low concentration of CO2, so that you have to invest quite a lot in equipment, but also in energy to capture the CO2. And you want to sell the CO2 to the market, and if you have high cost due to this low concentration in the flue gases, then you need some financial support from the government to make these projects feasible. But on the other end, what you see is that the societal benefit, if you do this, is also quite considerable, which means that the funding provided by the EU certainly will deliver more than the plain cost for producing this CO2.
EU funding is key at the current stage of development of the technology, and at the current scale that we have reached. We expect big cost reductions in the future when we're able to scale up the technology and to further improve the technology. But currently fossil fuels are just very, very cheap, and it's very difficult to compete directly with them. Also because the problem of climate change that these fossil fuels cause is not really priced in the current market framework.
The Yeah, the funding of our project is, at this moment really important, because you have in the calculation a gap, and this gap has to be closed. If not, you cannot start a demonstration project on a larger scale. You won't need it anymore, but that is maybe within 5 or 10 years. But now it is very important that we have a financial support to start our project.